Spirit, can I, I feel like the call or the reason I even have breath in my lungs while I'm here is to help bring people back to their origin, which is, the continual message of going within, the kingdom is within. It is the message that, so we know that to even enter, to even see within that space, the kingdom, Alkuta, you have to become like a wordless infant, right? And we think, oh yeah, we can do that. But a wordless infant would never feel humiliation or humility or, no embarrassment, Xavier talked about that, or self-protection, or even need to define it. Like you can even begin to see in a baby's eyes when they're trying to define what they're seeing. I remember putting Joni feeling the grass for the first time and just laughing, and she was not trying to define the grass. She was enjoying the grass. So I look at the position of my life in order to see and trust that space what I see. And then what messes me up is when I begin to define with this mind what I'm seeing. It makes it so much smaller. It's kind of like when you have a dream that's so profound and you're trying to put words to it, but the words cheapen it. Any language, right? I remember Lone Survivor. God had told me to watch Lone Survivor when we lived in Oklahoma. And I knew the understanding of it. I'd read about it with Marcus Luttrell, but I hadn't watched the movie because I didn't like war movies. And so I even preached a message when I was in Oklahoma City in Edmond on what it would be like to be the lone survivor and how lonely that would be, because 19 people altogether, like there was 4 of them on that mountain, but 19 altogether had died, and he's the lone survivor, correct? So my heart's picturing and thinking that how do you explain what you survived when nobody else was there? Because there were smells, there was things you saw. These are, this is what things that you experienced that you could even, and they did a movie and they did a book, but how could anyone ever really know, And I remember when I spoke on it, I was talking about, when you're giving birth and you're in a level of pain, and that person that you love that understands you is probably the only one that knows what you're saying without you saying a word. You know what I'm saying? And then I went into, of course, Jesus when he, and the level of suffering and coming into that space, But I'm saying that in reference to when you're trying to define something so profound or so awful. So anyway, so I've been just thinking a lot about language, because whatever language, and a few of you guys speak different languages, whatever it is, it's not enough. And what God's been showing me to do is I've never experienced this. A couple weeks ago, I went and sat in the living room in the middle of the night. I do that often. But I could feel my emotions and the thoughts. I could see them like a paragraph. I could see the words. It was like it filled my head with a cloud, but almost like a typed paragraph. And I'd never experienced that before. I knew that the thoughts that were coming, how to take your thoughts captive, all of those type of things. But have you guys ever been through something that you're so bogged down with thoughts, that's when we want to escape. Just escape them altogether. You can't even define them. They're coming. The story is so heavy. So it was the first time that I was able to see it in a paragraph. And, I'm here to connect only with love and to experience love, release love, be a conduit of love in the earth from spirit, And there's this chapter or this paragraph in my head it's a fog that's keeping me from that. And I leaned back, like this is a spiritual, I was able to lean back and see the paragraph and go between the words like this. Because it's not in the space whenever the noise ends. It's in the middle of the noise where you find the infinite intelligence, reality, the divine reality, heaven, God, you, okay? It's beyond the definitions. It's beyond the definitions, and if you, it's beyond the language. And so in it, I was able to, it was awesome. God was showing me how to do it. Spirit was showing me. I went through the sentences. It was like making my way through a little maze. And when I got to the end of it, I was in this open atmosphere. And there's where I create. I couldn't create with the chapter sitting in my head. I couldn't create with the labels, the definitions. This is someone else telling me and defining what reality is. We can't create from there. And in it, you guys, we have been so shut down as people, as divine expressions of God, because we believed something on the outside of ourselves. And it's when you have to let it all go in order to get into that empty space. And the empty space is where you feel so vulnerable, so naked. You don't know what you believe anymore. You don't care. You get to a point like, I don't care what my name is. I don't care. Because when I got to that space, I was experiencing me. I was experiencing love. From that space, I can begin to manifest what I'm experiencing it and being a conduit back into this space. And so then, I don't know if it was a few days later, then I was able to do it again. And see it. I was able to see the lines of communication like waves. We're talking about waves. So radio waves. I could turn this TV on right now, and depending on how powerful and all the things that I have, I can pull in waves that'll give me images from all across the world. On a radio, if you have a strong enough radio, you can pull in radio waves. You can hear things, like what the CIA are saying. It's in this room. We understand it as a people. We understand this, that even 50 years ago, they couldn't understand. So those waves are a dialogue in your mind. It goes through our mind. It tells you who you are. It's not just your father's voice. It's not just the lack of a father. It's not just your coach or a teacher or just your experience. That's just the starting point. After the rebirthing, then what? Right, Elba? If you are the best Olympic runner in all the world and you're in rehab and you come back to where your leg is completely healed, then what? Then your purpose is to be who you are. And so the purpose isn't just to heal the leg. The purpose isn't just to bringing you back to the origin. It's operating from the origin as the creator. We are creators here. And in it, you guys, it's bringing us it's demanding a responsibility from us to mature. When I move into a space to create rather than just living under someone else's creation. Can you guys hear what I'm saying? And we've only been trained to live under somebody else's creation. That's what we're talking about, all these systems of the world, the medical system. Now, they've defined what this sickness is. They've defined what this sickness is. They've defined how to treat this sickness. And then the way we're going to treat it, we have to treat the symptoms that are coming after how we treat it. And so before, especially in your elderly years, you might be on 6, 7, 8 different medications, right? Because somebody else created something, and then we get to live up under it if we so choose. Yeah. So how do we get through that paragraph? I mean, when you go to medical school, they're not teaching them to live a healthy lifestyle. Have you guys ever seen a nurse that just goes out and they smoke or they're not in shape or whatever? You're like, what? It's beyond my mind because it's a system and it's not. It was created and then we get to yield to it. Now it can serve us, but this is all we've known. And this honestly, that part a little bit scares the hell out of me that this is all we've known because the undoing. I'm not going to touch. I said I was going to touch on this, but I'm not. The undoing, I've been studying decolonization and colonizing, colonialism. Because I heard Spirit say everything comes down to colonizing or colonization. And I mean from the beginning, man began to colonize that you're going to believe how I believe. And then create the world that you're to live in. And then we are literally slaves in that world. And we don't know that we're slaves to it. We live under the paragraph that somebody else wrote. This is why I went back to the church fathers and went, wait a minute. It's insanity to me that we can't name all the church fathers, but we live by what they chose to put together. I trust Spirit as well, but it's in between. There was a reason that Yeshua spoke in parables. It was so some wouldn't see, and those that were seeking to see were able to see the keys. It's hidden. And I heard God years ago tell me how much pride it is when I'm trying to get somebody to see something that it's hidden from them. I can't get you to see that, right? It's going to be your hunger. It's going to be your desire. But it's also, this is what I'm hearing, is my pain is in accordance or at the level of my attachment to the scripts, to the illusion. And so I'm reading my pain. I'm reading my nervous system. You guys probably saw some of the pictures. We went to Vegas. I was there like 28 hours. I was there not very long, It was literally put together in 2 weeks, but it was divine. The Alex's room, it was comped. It was beautiful. And it was just a few of us. It was the first of the daughters to get married. The other ones are like, thought they would never do it. They can choose to dread it. But all of a sudden, Alex had us in the middle of it, and it was wonderful. And then I see, Josie put online, the shift has begun. It wasn't the shift to get married. It was the shift to move beyond the script that you have to live in pain. Or you have to hold on to something. And the script isn't the fact that you'd want your dad there. The script is what it needs to look like for me to feel okay. That's the script. What your life needs to. So then you realize, oh my gosh, I have caused myself so much pain because it needed to look like this for me to be okay. Right? And then you hit a certain age and they call it a midlife crisis. It's not a midlife crisis. It's you had a script that you wrote. Or you've lived under other men's script, right? And you come to this point that you can come back to the beginning again. So I've just been thinking about the origin. In the beginning was the Miltha, or the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So that word in the beginning was the Word, and I love this. That was one of the things I loved when I started reading just a little bit. I don't know a whole lot about it, but when I started reading the Aramaic, this is just a few of the definitions of the word Miltha, okay? Because there's not an English word, and that's the word, okay? There's not an English word that could define it. So in the origin, in the beginning, that scripture is quoting Genesis, in the beginning, God. In the beginning, Elohim is where they're quoting, okay? So in the origin was the Miltha, or was the Word. I just want to show you, because this is how small we've lived, okay? And then we said, this is the Word. But it's anything but a symbol. It's anything but a symbol. And here's the thing, you are anything but a symbol. As soon as I put a name or a symbol or a label or verbalize it or write it down on who you are, if you believe it, you are limited by it. So if you've been diagnosed and you bring that into a symbol into your life, okay, that will be the veil. That will be the restriction. If you believe the script of who your dad said or your mom said or culture, these are the things that cause us to feel the separation when the separation isn't there, right? So that word in the beginning, in the origin, and I'm talking about you, is the manifestation. Here's a few words that describe the word. Okay, in the beginning, in the origin was the expression. In the beginning was the appearance. I just highlighted a few I liked. In the beginning was the consciousness that was creating. In the beginning was communication. In the beginning was the story or the tale or the awareness, the cause and effect. I listened to this today. In Aramaic, the cause and effect were the same thing. It's the flow. So in the beginning was this manifestation, was an expression. Of course, we know that scripture was talking about Jesus, but it's talking about you because you are a word or you are a Miltha. You were in the beginning, an expression. I like to say it like this, you guys. I probably say this too much, but just it gives me a visual. In the ocean was the wave. You're the wave. The wave was always in the ocean. The wave came up as an expression. The wave was the ocean, and the wave always was. So now let's look at this scripture. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The expression, who you are, it is God. It was in God and always was God. There was never a separation, okay? In the beginning was the Miltha. The Miltha was with Allah. Allah, they translated it as God, but, and I don't really even like the term God because You could just take that clip and just run with it, but because it came from the German word, the good one. And I think that the creator of all things, the infinite, what all these different words that people are saying now, is so much bigger than the good one. That's just one word. But we'll fight over a word, a symbol. And I mean, I'm convinced that every name that we've given God or that's been written is just an attempt and a description. I mean, we're living in all eternity trying to describe and learn who God is or who Allah is. So, in Arabic, when they say Allah, it's my very breath. It's God, it's everything. It's the energy everywhere. It's the expansion. It's so in the origin was the milta, was the expression, was the manifestation, was the consciousness of Allah, the one that's everywhere and infinite. Some of your memories when you tap into the spirit, and I know people are saying that maybe it's from your past life, maybe it was, okay? But some of the things that you've seen are because you have always been part of the ocean's whole. And they'll come up to you and you'll call them a memory. But we were there. This is how we're able to go through in different parts of time and see and hear from a space, because in the beginning was the expression. In the origin, it's all the same. In my notes, you guys, I have these beautiful things that I'm talking about right now, and you're just like, and beaver's butt. Okay, did y'all get that? Okay, so I'm thinking of labels, and I heard this the other day, and I'm like, what? Did you know on your labels, oftentimes when it says natural flavoring, it's the excretion from a beaver's butt? Strawberry and vanilla natural flavors. They have used it for over 80 years in perfumes and food. So you can believe your labels. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is natural. And this was a huge, one of the biggest food companies. Yeah, are you kidding me? I know, you guys, when the carpet starts coming out from under you, that you can't believe anything, like everything's fake, I understand, like the decolonization or the deconstruction, okay? It's been a whole new level for me that's why I've been so quiet. That's why I don't really know what to say on getting online, what to say. When I taught you how to live neutral, how to be in a space where you don't have to take it in as truth, you don't have to take anything I say as truth, you get to be neutral. It's like mining for gold. You let the rocks fall and you hold on to the nuggets that are yours, okay? So that is a positioning that I began to talk about, because that's where I was, and just creating a grid to see further. Well, then all of a sudden you start seeing. When you start seeing in other dimensions, you don't get to choose what you see. So all of a sudden you start seeing more, and then you have another decision right there to shut it off. You can call it demonic. That's the best thing people do. You're not going to experience it then, or you're going to experience. Jesus was a criminal, and to them he was. He was a teacher, and to them he was. He was a prophet. He was the Son of God to some. Right? He needed to be each of those for that script to be carried out. So that's fine. We can stop anywhere we want. I just don't want to stop. Where I'm in time and space right now, I want to experience all that I can experience within this opportunity, right? And I did realize it here. I hadn't realized it here, that it's a continual letting go. It's continual. It doesn't stop. Because as soon as you define what you're seeing, you've made it smaller. And you're holding on to something. I mean, when I do this, what does that mean? Anybody? Okay, so I love you. Do you believe that? Okay, I have been stalking you. I want you to be mine. If you're not going to be mine, I'm going to take you out. Now what does it mean? It's all intention. It's all intention. And I'm not, you guys, this next year is going to be really, really intense. From now until the election, what we're going to experience in this country, it's bigger, it's beyond what I understand, what you understand, okay? And there's a reason that Spirit's been helping me condition my nervous system. And like you know, it's been freaking out. In Vegas, I'm observing as this is being played out. I'm observing my emotions. I'm observing what rolled, like, have you guys ever just realized when you got it wrong, if you want to say it like this, it's all of a sudden you're like in the corner, like, well, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I remember when we had a girl that lived with us, and she was discipled all the way up. She moved from Houston to be in Oklahoma with us, and she came to me, and we so appreciated it because most people that wanted to do their own thing, they had to get an accusation against us as the pastors in order to do it, to justify it or something. But she sat us down, and she said, I want to go move in with this guy, and he was a crackhead, And she said, I just want to have sex. And we're like sitting on the front porch with her, and we're like, thank you. Like, you're just, like, we can meet you there. You're still our daughter. You come and be in our life anytime. She watched people reject us because of the lifestyle they wanted to live, thinking that we're going to reject them. So then, we told her, well, you need to tell the girls. And the girls are young, Alex comes in, and she said, and they don't know what's about to happen. Because my kids, as a pastor's family, you go through a lot of people leaving and accusing you when they leave, right? So Alex comes skipping in. She's like 10 years old, and she said, I have a song for you. You're my family. And she starts singing this whole song to her about how much we love her, and the person sitting there looking at me like, oh, my God. And so then we all sat on the front porch, and she told the girls, and I hear Spirit say, during it, I hear Spirit say, watch how I'll heal your family through. It was truth. She's telling us the truth, right? And so she says, I just want to go have sex, you guys. It's nothing against you. It's not against the family. Why would it be against us? How crazy. We get mad at people for living their own life, whatever. But anyway, and Josie says, Josie's only like 14, y'all. How sad. She said, how I've dealt with abandonment. And all of a sudden they lock in, and she's crying, and Josie's crying. She said, yeah, but that's not what this is, Josie. And and it was so, God tells me, Spirit tells me, don't quote scriptures. Don't try to get her to see what's about to happen. Like, we were helping her get a car. We were helping her with her education, right? And I wanted to, like, are you kidding? He's a crackhead. Like, what, But in it, when I realized how I didn't understand unconditional love, when I realized that I had defined and lived what a Christian was up until that point, you feel like you're just standing in the corner and you do not know what to do. Because I heard clearly Spirit tell me, don't do what you would normally do. What? I thought I was bringing conviction when I quoted scripture. You know what I mean? And then this happened, and 6 weeks later, we went and got our nails done, and her car had been wrecked because she's with a drug addict, right? She's not going to school anymore, and her bank account was empty. And we're getting our nails done. I love her like a daughter, still love her like she's my daughter, And I start to tell her why. She didn't need to know why. She knew why. It was an experience that she was choosing. And I heard Spirit say, stop. Don't define it. Like it wasn't about punishment. It was about she had to walk through the experience that she was choosing. But for me, it was like I was being arrested because I realized how I defined what a mom should be, or a Christian should be, or a pastor should be, looked like this. And I didn't know I was literally cutting people off because of my defining of how I should be. Do you know what I mean? And I was cutting off the flow. And it's what's so funny, you guys. She came back and helped us do conferences and different things like that. And the whole time, Spirit was saying, I'm about to teach you something. But I know when you hear something, the first emotion is like, oh my God, I've done it wrong all this time. When you think you're doing it, I said this a few weeks ago, when you're aiming the arrow and you miss, they yelled back, and that's the word for sin. You missed the mark. The word for evil is you missed the target altogether. Now, they made it about morality, okay? But then I said it a few weeks ago. Can you imagine skillfully aiming at the wrong target? And that's what we've done. I've read the books. I've done the fasts. I've listened to the things. I've rubbed shoulders with the greatest, right? And that's where I am. Continually right now. Continually. I have to trust the wind, that the wind's going to get me to the target. I don't even know how to aim anymore, because this space of neutrality was supposed to get me to a place where I could see even further. If you think what you saw has freaked you out so far, you've got to deal with your nervous system to see beyond that. Because what we have the opportunity to see and be a part of with our ancestors that have passed on, that when we realize that there really is no death, I mean in your body, there really is no death, right? There really is no death. You guys think that he was speaking a pretty little message so that you could experience your loved ones say, I love you? When we started talking about the merging of the realms, we are in it. And some people will not experience it because they've defined what life looks like, and others are experiencing it right now. And a lot of the people that have been experiencing it right now did not come out of the Christian constructs, because we have been raised in what it's supposed to look like. When we came here, and the Native Americans, do not tell me they weren't spiritual people connecting with the Allah, with the source, with the Great Spirit, whatever language they used. But what happened when they came and took over this land is they colonized it. They made it look like another land, and it goes back and back and back. And if you continually go back, even when it comes through our scriptures, you guys, it came back to a construct. And before it was a written word, it came from expression of people's mouths, and they sat in circles and they told stories, and they called them Jesus followers, and all of the disciples spread out and they went different parts of the world, and then they made disciples, and then more than likely whoever wrote the book of Mark were one of the disciples of Mark. Okay? But it was stories. It was living. We are the living words. It was what Yeshua came to say, that we would do greater. But we didn't do greater because man took it, and then we submitted to man. We submitted to the words, and we submitted to a form. So this is why it was so needful when Spirit brought me the Aramaic, is to help people that have been in just the word cross into the cosmic, what was happening on a cosmic level. And what you will begin to see is a lot of the writings that were left out did connect us as humans beyond. And when you get the followers of Jesus from the East, look at Eastern religions, okay? They have an understanding of the divine within. And we didn't understand that. We were really good about the sky God. Could tell you that God created everything. But we dealt with separation. I mean, there's 44,000 plus Christian denominations, but it's divide, and conquer. The only way for us not to be divided or conquered is to go within and live from Spirit, is to go in between the chapter, to go in between the words. But in it, this is what it looks like in your nervous system. This is what it looks like in your body. You can't be defined. Your mind is continually trying to define you. As soon as you're defined, you are that. It can be an attempt. But this is why it says in his hometown he couldn't do any miracles, because they defined him. That's right. So, and this is what I heard Spirit say as I'm watching in Vegas, and I'm watching myself, and I'm seeing my responses. And because when you get around family, it's where you've been defined the most. As I'm watching it, I'm realizing the needfulness, like I said, to condition your nervous system. Your nervous system pretty much is in charge of everything. It has like in what you breathe and what you say and how you feel and how you think. It's one of the main functions in your body. So when you start okay, this is what I was explaining. I took someone to go get chemo this week, and they said, I know God can heal me, but I got so scared because I've had 3 negative, reports, and then she'd have to get back on chemo, right? And so she's like, and I said, it's hard to push through those negative words because you felt them, especially when you feel them. Right. I'm not belittling it, especially you got to go to work. You have to go to work to dismantle that in this kingdom. This is your kingdom. That's it. Quit trying to rule anybody else. This is it. There you go. There you go. And this is what I was able to tell her. I said, there's a part of you that knows that it's true. But our nervous system, this avatar gets in the way. And I said, here's the difference. We're driving down the road. We're in the daylight, and if someone yells, there's a man in your back seat. It wouldn't faze us because we clearly see there's no man in the back seat. But if I'm getting in my car in a dark parking lot and someone yells it right before, I don't know. Right. And they say there's a man in your back seat. Well, so that you think there's a different response in my nervous system? Yeah. Now, my nervous system freaks out. I feel the terror. And guess what? There's no man in the back seat. Mm-hmm. It was nothing different as in the daylight. But we have to learn, if we're going to not just survive, if we're going to rule in the days that are coming ahead of us, you have to move past your nervous system. This is why you're being tried, if you're allowing it. It's a conditioning, you guys. Every great master takes their student and conditions them and then tests them. This is why Elba came here. This is, with Eddie too and all of this. Whatever, we'll give him that. But she knows she was sent here, right? She left Venezuela just a few days after that. Venezuela crashed. She's, lived through some things. And when you can get with people that can see what's beyond that sentence, beyond the script. Now, here's the thing. I'm watching myself. I'm observing myself while my nervous system thinks there's a man in the back seat. And I'm the one saying, honey, there's no man in the back seat. My nervous system, oh my God. You know what I mean? And that's the battle that we feel. And so, when I was speaking to her, I'm like, you do trust that God will completely heal you. Yeah. To manifest it, though, is to bring this into a space. Not condemn it. It's like a child. Our bodies, our minds have been conditioned to live in one reality. And it's been a reality created by man. Yeah. You guys, we got to come to that. You got to come to that. What do you think it means to be reborn, to enter the kingdom like a child? It's knowing nothing. It's a place of complete vulnerability. And here, all of a sudden, you see. This is why when you're driving the lawnmower, when you're driving down the road, when you're not thinking about anything, you're not trying to govern anything, or you're on a road that you know how to get there all the time, and all of a sudden, you start hearing things, right? It's because that government that you're being led by is kind of dismissed. Have you guys ever? I always heard when you're on the lawnmower. I don't ride lawnmowers, but because your mind, it's because what was once governing your mind is set aside. The conditioning of it. So that's what we're being trained in more and more and more. So yeah, I just want to tell you about the beaver's rear end. So and here's why, you guys. I'm not about, everything's out to get us. I'm not. The systems in this world are here to serve me, but I'm not here to serve it. And I had to understand, and I keep having to understand where I've been underneath it. Yeah. And to come out from underneath it means you don't have the answers that they were giving to you. Like, it means that all there is left to do is pray. Just get there. Get to that point. You know what I mean? Because that's where the maturity is. Let's see what else I wrote down here. This is just a little bit of facts because this is how I think. There's about 7,168 different languages, according to the Linguistic Society of America. 3,045 are endangered. They're almost gone. Cherokee from the United States, which I thought was amazing. I have Cherokee heritage. When they say proto-human language, a lot of people believe that there was a language, an origin language that man all spoke, like a mother language. I don't think it was defined with. I think it was like this. When you begin to communicate. This is why you can walk away. But you guys, this is why you can walk away and you're like, I do not know what was just said, but you're feeling something else. Yeah. It's the same thing over and over and over. And so then you let go of words. You let go of words altogether. A word is this. I'm stalking you, therefore. You know what I mean? A word is a symbol. And I'm not saying that words are bad, but they're weak. And our whole government is run by words. The judicial system is run by words. And we're learning more and more how to become sovereign and go in between the words. One of the things that made me the most angry, in a spiritual way, and I mean that, when I'm sitting in court with someone, is that person up there believes that they have power over my life or over the person I'm sitting with's life. You know what I mean? Like literally, Who died and made you God? I didn't. Someone actually died and made me God. But I must not believe it because I'm living underneath the rule of the judicial system. So how do we come out from under it? We're learning. And there's a higher law, and there always was a higher law, but we were taught not to value it, because even though that's what the one message that he came to say as our brother, as our husband, is within you. And we're fighting over what it is. How can you fight over that? I can't even define it. How could I fight you over something that I can't define? It's a flow. It's a movement of my life, right? So even as I'm looking at language, the proto-human language, a lot of people, it's a universal mother tongue that all languages came from. You know, people say that. I don't think it's a definition. I think it's this. I think that we're going to get to a place that everything that this does is what we do. This came out of us, and mankind has been here before, different times in the earth, when people got to a certain level or a species got to a certain level, and then they crumbled, okay? And what they created began to lord over them by choice. And so, you know, I could text somebody and let them know I'm thinking about them across the world, but I can also just do this. How many times have you done this and they call? It's because you are greater than this, but you hadn't realized it. And you won't realize it, you guys, in this lifetime if you don't let go of the scripts. Because the scripts were created by man. The scripts over your life was created by humans. So there is a point that you have to get to, and this is why we're so privileged that we're seeing the corruption in our government, okay? We're so privileged to live in a time, because when I didn't see the corruption, I was living under it joyfully. And now I'm living under it like this, like how do you get out, right? And so now that's the first thing that has to come in order for us to go, what else is there? Oh, well, it was always there. It's the same space they were in when Yeshua came to the earth. He said, it's not here or there. It's nothing to do with that. It's only within you. What do you see? Yeah. Whatever you see, that's what you're going to manifest. And don't tell me that it's working, what we're living under, and produce what you're producing. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sing a song that a nation can change in a day and not believe it again. And so where's my path? Where's my path? I started, I've always read about the martyrs and the great ones. Why? Because that's who you are. That's who I am. Mm-hmm. And now we get an opportunity to be that. And maybe not just here, but I know people that are listening, that are catching it. Is there not a cause? Literally, there'll be some that, and maybe you, if you can begin to see and believe and hold on to what you see. I want to be a person. I don't like saying this because I know the pain attached to it, that only lives from the conviction on what I see. Not what you tell me, not what the government tells me, not what a book that's been translated thousands of times and people say it's the inherent word of God, not what that tells me. I know I met and I encountered the Spirit, the creator of all, before I ever even read the Bible. I was Catholic. You're not allowed to read the Bible. It was too holy. That would be like calling Russell a dog. And so I encountered and experienced it without that. Am I against that? No. But if you can't see between the words, you're missing it. You're being bound by something that you were meant to be. It's a nudge. I mean, there's a reason it's a parable. There's a reason that words are a puzzle. We're listening to politicians and they're promising. And it was so good that now you can understand that this doesn't mean what you think. It may with some, but you better discern. Oh, you want to read what the politicians are for, what they stand? Screw that. That's not what they're for. You better be listening. You're letting them be rulers over your life. Oh, but they said this, and this. Like, how long are we going to be deceived? Yeah. When do we move into? Can you move into in your lifetime where you need no man to teach you? Because you're not. We're not going to mature in that until we believe, until we practice going within and believe and hold on to what we see. Then I don't need any man to teach me. You don't have to tell me. I know already. And then there's this flow. I mean, oh my gosh, the oceans know when to stop, and the trees know when to shed their leaves and to get nurtured. And there's this beautiful connection and harmony going on to the world. And then there's us. And all of us, all the fighting and the separation, you can't give it one answer. It's because we left the flow. It's because we left the origin. In the origin was the milta. In the ocean was the wave. The wave is the ocean, always was the ocean. Everything that was done through the ocean. Everything that was created through the Word. We believed it to be Jesus. But then we say, yeah, I am a living Word. Everything that was created through you. Are you kidding me? Why are we living so small? You've got to let go of the scripts. It's scary for me too. My nervous system is freaking out as well. But what is your opportunity as a living person here? A couple encounters that I've had with people that no longer have bodies in this earth said, I need your body. Darren said that to Alex, I need your body. So he did some things through her, because there's a different authority you have when you still are in your earth suit. So what opportunity do I have? It haunts me. It haunts me. I love it. It's not a fearful thing, but I feel like I could choose different scripts for sure. It's not like God's going to be mad. I know enough about the love of God. I mean, God had to show me, I had to learn unconditional love when I was going to leave my family, when I was done with ministry. It was like a week in my mind. It was just in my mind. And I remember seeing myself, I'm moving to California. You know, there'd be so many times I'd get in the car and I'm like, I'm out, you know. And I remember I put my mind at this person's house. I'm in California. I'm sitting by their pool. And I remember thinking, I just want a garden. Like, screw all this stuff. Like, I've never been someone that's wanted a garden. Have you seen me with plants? They're only living because Breck is here. Like, I don't know. And so I'm like going, I just want a new life, you know. And in it, you know who was going with me? The Spirit of God. The Spirit of God. I never thought that. I thought that if you leave the covering, I thought I could leave God. Like, how could you ever leave God? Yeah, come out from under the umbrella. Like, you guys, I know we don't want to say it or we don't want to admit it, but the people that are doing the most hideous things have the breath of God. And God is in every cell of their being. I don't understand it with my mind either. We can go into, was that God's will? This is God's will? No, but it's life. There's no way to leave it. There's no separation. There's nothing I could do to be separate from it. The more I realize it, the more I align and I am it. The more I know that I'm not a separate ocean's wave, that I am the ocean, I can release the ocean in every expression. I can release Allah, the heart of the Creator. And that's why, when somebody was freaking out, whenever they're experiencing more and more in extraterrestrials, to be quite honest, I said, I always have to go back to the baby. And I just see this little thumbprint that nobody has this thumbprint. Nobody has that thumbprint. And so I just look at whoever did that. It's just beauty, right? You look at a baby, you go, I don't care what you want to argue about. I don't care what religion you want to be. I don't care all of its constructs. Who did this? You, I love you.